What a treat to have this gentleman on the show. Joining us is one of the most unique performers in show business. Steve Depass is a master of improvisation and in concerts and nightclubs actually creates much of his show as he goes along. He has rightfully earned the title as America's singing poet. His appearances on television's biggest variety shows like Ed Sullivan, The Tonight Show, Gary Moore, Mike Douglas, Merv Griffin are memorable. And it is a great pleasure to welcome Steve Depass to the Suncoast Magazine today. Hi, Steve. How you doing?
Hello, Doug. What a pleasure and an honor it is to speak to the likes of you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that, and it's good to talk to you. We kind of had a little sort of a reunion on the phone. We talked last week. For our listeners who are from the New York area, there's a club up there, which is known as the Lambs Club, and I was very fortunate as a kid to kind of go to a lot of the different events there, and first saw your performance back then where you kind of make up a song as you go along. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad we finally caught up.
That's my stock and trade, so to speak.
Yeah, it's a very unique act, and of course I know a lot of our listeners remember you from all your television work, and of course you're heading down to Florida in the near future, aren't you, Steve?
Well, on the 26th of February, I'm going to be in Marco Island or on Marco Island or whatever the preposition is, but I'll be in that vicinity. Well, be within the proximity of the vicinity or exactly there. But I'm going to be down there at a place called the Marco Polo, which is a very fashionable five-star restaurant. But the occasion is the 40th anniversary of the modern Marco. The modern Marco, as compared to the original pristine Marco, which the developers and franchisers took advantage of. That was back, I suppose, when the Mackle brothers came to town. The Mackle brothers, there was Frank and Elliot and Bob Mackle, who are the founding fathers of modern Marco, and I'll be celebrating the 40th anniversary with an auction of something invented by Noreen Barnes called the Marco Sari, which is a fashion that women wear, and I'll be singing songs to the people and about the saris, and I'll be singing a spontaneous auction in song of the different dresses created by Noreen, and it's sort of a glorified and musical fashion show and a lot of fun.
Great. Yeah, it sounds like it'll be a wonderful
show. It was a mouthful, whatever it was I said. I hope it communicated something.
And is there a website or anything that people can contact if they're interested in driving down from here? Do you know, Steve?
Well, I can give you a number that they can call. That number would be area code 239-394-3813. I'll repeat that. Area code is 239-394-3813. Noreen Barnes is the lady who is the chairperson of the event, and all of the proceeds are donated to the Marco Island Historical Society.
Great. Should be a good show, and that's not too far from Sarasota, maybe about an hour and a half drive south of here, so I know some of our listeners would be happy to come down and see you. And
well, if they mention your name, I'll sing a very specific created ballad for them.
Oh, great. Well, I just wanted
Why don't you be my guest? If you can get that far, you'll be my guest.
Oh, that'd be great. I'll look forward to that. Okay, when we get off the air, we'll or talk to you later in the week. Sure, that'd be great. And then the date of that again is what, March what?
This is February. February the 26th.
February 26th, okay.
That's a Saturday.
And the time again was what?
Well, cocktails are from 6 to 8. Cocktails and dinner. And then there's the performance.
Okay, very good. We'll tell the folks about that a little bit later on as well. But you just mentioned about creating a song on the spot, and part of your unique talent is the ability to do that. When did you discover that ability in yourself, Steve?
Well, I suppose it's a hereditary predisposition, which I have developed over the years, but I always had the ability even as a small child. You know, when I came to America back in the 30s, I performed in vaudeville and minstrel shows and that kind of thing. So that was my early exposure to the business. So I had a career as a child. I did a couple of Broadway shows before I guess I stopped doing that when I was 11. And then I began my career again in earnest when I was in college at NYU, and I've been at it since I graduated at NYU. I've been at it on a full-time basis. And now in the spring when I perform at Carnegie, this will be my 55th consecutive year performing as a professional.
Well, congratulations on that. That's an accomplishment in anybody in show business to last that long.
Well, you know, show business tests your endurance. There are a lot of very gifted people who couldn't stand the business aspect of show biz, and they're discouraged and demoralized, and they tend to leave it for more secure ways of earning a living. I'm one of the guys who stuck it out, and I'm still a journeyman performer, and I'm still here, pliable, reliable, undeniable, and here I am.
You mentioned Broadway. Didn't you start out in, what, Carmen Jones? Was that the show?
Carmen Jones, yes, I did.
Right.
Yes. Very good.
Who was in that? Who was in that back then?
Back then, Muriel Smith and Muriel Ron alternated in the title role of Carmen because the operatic demands upon their voice were such that they didn't ask them to do 2 consecutive performances. And Luther Saxon and Napoleon Reed played the lead of Joe, alternating in that role, and the ingenue was who played Cindy Lou in the show. One soprano was Carlotta Franzel. She was the prima donna, and there was a secondary role played by a soprano whose name I don't recall at the moment, but she was equally gifted, very, very talented, gifted people. It was a beautiful show.
Wasn't that a Broadway version of the opera Carmen?
Yeah, it
put into
was,
the South or something?
It was a black version of Carmen, and it was rewritten and converted just to as an adaptation in English with English lyrics, and then later on, much later on, it was made into a movie with Harry Belafonte playing the role of Joe.
That's right. Yeah, it was made into a movie.
And
later
I
on.
think Dorothy Dandridge played the part of Carmen. Right.
Very famous movie. And, of course, we mentioned in the introduction your appearances on all the great variety shows over the years. We had Shelley Berman on yesterday, Steve, and he just told a great story about working on the Ed Sullivan Show. But I'd like to hear some of your remembrances of going on there, because that was a live show, wasn't it?
Yes, when I went on there, and I started on the Parr Show, if you believe that.
Did you?
Yes, that was pre-Johnny Carson. But I've had a lot of memorable experiences. My favorite, of course, was with Gary Moore. I loved Gary, or Mike Douglas. Mike treated me greatly also. And so many anecdotal experiences, I don't know which one to draw upon to tell you.
To tell an Ed Sullivan story. Everybody seems to have one of those.
Yeah, well, I was called back on an Ed Sullivan Show, my second performance, and I was introduced, not as Steve Depass, but here he is, ladies and gentlemen, back by popular demand, Paul Paris.
He had a way with mangling names occasionally, didn't he?
But they corrected him, and then when he was bowing me, he corrected himself. Said, "No, it's not Paul Paris. It's Steve Paris."
That's great. Well, now, what did you go on, and what did you have, about 6 minutes? I know Shelley Berman was saying you had about 6 minutes to do it, and you had to get off, right?
Yes, you had to be quick, and I just was spinning improvisations, but I did get to see in subsequent appearances that I was able to sing straight songs, which I like to do. As you know, I'm a composer. I'm a serious poet and composer. In addition to the business of being able to create lyrics on the spot, I do serious composition.
And you were on 17 times, right, on the Sullivan Show?
Yes, and 17 times.
That's a great
I mean, I don't know
record.
the exact count, but a few times, and a few times also on. With Gary, I was on and off for a couple of years with the Gary Moore Show. And Mike Douglas, I was with him for a couple of years. But I've touched on all the shows in the course of time, and I'm still here. I still perform. I still do concerts and appearances. The bulk of my income over the past couple of decades has been performing at corporate events, which has become my specialty. I do a motivational program which makes people think and makes them remember those precepts upon which the meeting was founded in the first place. So that's my role as America's singing poet. Yeah, would you like me to give you a lyric on one of my regular compositions?
Sure, if you don't mind, that'd be great.
The thing I'm having a lot of success with recently is a piece called the Individual Song. It's become especially popular with my audiences since 9/11, where I extol the virtues of being an individual in an open, competitive, constitutional democracy. And I'll give you a little of the lyric. It starts out as, "I'm very proud just to be an individual. Even in the crowd, I am still an individual. Separate, sovereign, special individual, and hot damn, that's what I am. Groups we belong to bear a lot of influence, ethnic or national. It colors your experience. But even in a group, there's an awful lot of variance, and I'm an individual man. Hot damn, that's what I am. Our country was founded, grounded in the principle, filling my mind with ideas that are invincible and none can invade. Shall I go on and on? I can go on.
That's great,
I'm
yeah.
just giving a piece of it.
Now, you were up there, obviously, I guess, during 9/11 week, right?
Oh, yes,
Were
I
you
was
in
right
town?
downtown when it all hit the fan.
Boy, I was up there, too, on vacation, but what a weird week that was.
Well, that
Boy.
was a good way to ruin anybody's vacation.
Yeah, very
When you
very
see
weird.
that there are those people in the world who think it's a good idea to blow themselves up and other people and to kill and to maim and in the name of some cause which we can't even fathom, but to them it seems like a good idea. We just pray for the day when the whole world will coalesce and be able to get along with each other and mollify our differences.
Oh, sure. Well,
For sure, and 7 years ago.
you look at, though, how New York rebounded. I mean, the resurgence of particularly that downtown Manhattan looks like that's going to be rebuilt in some form, and the city's really snapped back, though, hasn't it, Steve?
Well, back in vaudeville, they used to sing a song which said, "When you leave New York, you don't go nowhere."
Yeah.
So those of us who are partial to New York, who have grown up here, and other people who have just come here and fallen in love with it, we can be very partial and chauvinistic about our beautiful city.
That's right.
And we love it. It's always alive, the city that never sleeps. There's always something going on, and you have the museums and the Broadway theater, and you have all the educational opportunities and the great ethnic mix, and it all happens here. And so I think that the energy in New York has something that's so vital that it can't be compared with any other place, hence the song, "When You Leave New York." But I'm not speaking so chauvinistically that I can't appreciate a place like Sarasota.
Right.
I've never gotten my quota of Sarasota. I would love to be down there. And who knows, when I get through with my business in Marco, maybe I'll get a chance to pay a visit, say hello to you in person.
That'd be great. I know we have a fine comedy club down here, McCurdy's.
I've heard about McCurdy's.
Yeah.
God willing, from your mouth to Godzilla, I should get a chance to play there. Yes, as a matter of fact, you told me I should communicate with Les.
That's right, Les McCurdy, and I'm sure they'd love to have you down. I mean, your act is unique, and it'd be great for all the people down here to see you.
I'll give this fellow Les a call.
Do
Les
that.
McCurdy. I'll give him a call, and because Jackie's there now, and Jackie can tell him all about me, too. That'll be a very good recommendation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes. In this case, less is more.
Right. Well, we were talking a little bit before the show about your friendship with Jackie Mason. Maybe you just relay a little bit of that story to our listeners.
Jackie and I have been friends for 1,000 years. I mean, more years than I can recount. And I've always respected him as an artist, and he's always been very kind to me as a person. When in one of his Broadway shows, when I was visiting he stopped the show and actually turned on all the lights and introduced me. And I would say that in show business, it's rare to find one artist gracious enough in the middle of his one-man show on Broadway to stop, hold up everything, and introduce another artist. And I thought that was a very generous move, and it's long since been appreciated.
Yeah, it's a very unique and great honor for somebody to do that, especially on Broadway. When there's a timing involved, that's great, and we'll look forward to talking to him. Have you thought about doing anything on Broadway, Steve, up there, since you've done it before? I mean, doing a one-man show or anything?
I've never brought the kind of one-man show that I do to Broadway. I've done the Boston Pops, I've done Carnegie Hall, I've done different things, but sure, I'd like to do Broadway, or maybe I would start off Broadway. You have to build up to have that kind of drawing power, or something spectacular would have to happen where my name is more of a household name to the general public, so you can draw people.
You mentioned the name Gary Moore before, and on the Game Show Network not too long ago, they were showing some of the old I've Got a Secret shows, and you came up there on a couple of occasions on that show as well.
Yeah, that's how I started with Gary. I was introduced to him on the I've Got a Secret show, and then he gave me the contract with the regular show, and I worked with Carol Burnett and Durward Kirby and Alan King and a lot of other wonderful performers.
Yeah, those were the great days of variety television in New York City, and most of them were done live, and I guess it was kind of scary, but a lot of fun, too, to do those shows.
Well, at the time, live was the thing, and those of us who came up doing live theater, we took that for granted, but of course they have everything down to a sophisticated science today, and so they can do things on tape and make it appear very live and spontaneous. And also it gives them an opportunity to be careful and to correct mistakes, back then, if you made a mistake, you were stuck with it forever.
That's right. Whatever went out, right?
That's it.
We're talking with Steve Depass, and just got about a minute or two left. I just wanted to mention briefly, Steve, a gentleman that I remember as a kid at the Lambs Club. I alluded to that before. You work with is Gene Speed. We'd had a little commercial for Bermuda before, and of course he's a big entertainer down there. And I know you've performed in Bermuda too, haven't you, over the years?
Oh yes, and Gene and I maintain our friendship, and whenever we have a chance to work together, we do. As a matter of fact, Gene Steed is going to be with me on Marco Island.
Oh, great.
So hopefully now you and your family will be my guests that night.
That'd be great to see him, too, yeah.
Yes, and we'll have a lot of fun.
Remember, he was kind of your accompanist back
That's right.
at the Lambs.
He's a great star in his own, but when he works with me, he does work in an accompanying role, but he's no less a star than I am, and in many ways a greater star, certainly a greater singer.
He's kind of like the Wayne Newton of Bermuda, at least when I was down there. He was kind of billed as that.
Oh, yes.
A lot of the hotels.
He's Bermuda's natural resource.
That's right. Well, both of you together do a great show, and just your act is really unique, and the ability to make up songs on the spot, and usually ending with a good punchline,
well,
it's
I'll
great.
tell you something, because I know we're running out of time. First of all, you're gracious, and I'm grateful to you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you and to your listening public. God bless us all. And if any of you people show up down there when I'm on Marco Island, there at the Marco Polo Club on the 26th of February, I'll be happy to sing a song to you, for you, and about you, invented on the spot, and something which will make you think and make you laugh and make you cry. But above all, it'll make you remember, and we'll have a good time.
Steve, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. We'll talk to you soon, and hopefully you'll come into Sarasota real soon, too.
From your mouth.
Thanks, Steve.
Take care.